We never know how to start this. We just kind of do it. Hello, welcome back, Earth's mightiest idiots. We are here. We are nerds. We are idiots. We are nerds who are idiots. Welcome to YouTube.
What's up, Internet?
And what's up, Internet? So if you're watching this right now going, wow, what a snappy, cool new intro you had. We'll talk more about who made it and how it was made. But the reason it's much cooler is because I didn't make it. So please tell the people where it came from.
My buddy Chris Lewikas, he is his business. He has his real life cinematography, and he did an amazing job with our intro. So shout out to him. If you like his intro and you want your own stuff, whether it's a mitzvah or whatever you want to do, or just looking for something cool, go to reallifecinematography.com, and it's awesome. He does great work, as you can see from our intro. So
yeah, if you're in for a mitzvah, bar or bot, he's got you. All sorts of commercials and other things that are beyond my capabilities. But yeah, it's much snappier and tighter now. So
it is snappy.
We also have a globe that spins.
Yeah, we do. There's like a new level of professionalism that has been hit by episode 4. So who knows what episode 5 awaits.
Probably nothing new, but it looks like we know what we're doing. So that's the fun part.
We're one step closer to being legitimate.
We're trying our best. Adjacent. Yes, adjacent. Before we hop into our conversations, welcome back. At any point during this episode, if you feel compelled to yell at us, please do so in the comments. We encourage it. Like and subscribe as well, because if you don't do that, you're not invited to my birthday party.
Correct. And if you think we're terrible and you have lots of criticism, like and subscribe. Do that. And if you think we're great, see how much better we'll get. Like and subscribe. Together
we can defeat the YouTube algorithm, and the only way we can do that is by liking, subscribing, and commenting.
Exactly.
And watching as long into the video as you can. But before we jump into the conversations today, let's reveal our shirts. I don't know what shirt you're wearing, actually, and I have not told you. I got
a goodie.
All right, so you go first.
Okay. Hold on, I gotta step back a little bit. Hold on. Tippy toes.
I'm not saying it was aliens.
But it was aliens.
That's a good one.
It is.
He's
also Greek.
Oh, shout out Greek.
Shout out to the Greek people.
Yes. So I have a very on-brand shirt. If you like karate, smoothies, and going to the gym after high school, you're going to go to Angel Grove Gym and Juice Bar. Ernie's Angel Grove Gym and Juice Bar.
Nice.
It was probably the coolest post-school place you could go that didn't exist in real life.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Back in the 90s, there were a lot of cut-off sleeves and a lot of bright colored shirts, because for somehow no one's ever caught on that they always wear the color their uniform is.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how that worked out.
I don't know what's more amazing.
Is that how Zordon shows which Ranger they would be? It's like, oh, this guy likes to wear.
He's got a great shirt.
He's got a great shirt. That's definitely the Red Ranger.
Well, I wonder what is more confounding, that aspect of red shirt equals red and you always wear red, or Clark Kent and his glasses. Can never understand.
That's just comic book logic. I mean, the same thing with He-Man. I mean, He-Man would raise his sword and then he'd get a bronzer tan and just have less clothes on, and no one knew who he was, not even his own dad.
But the difference is he looked different.
No, he didn't. Look at the 80s cartoon. It was exactly the same. He just had a tan and less clothes.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm
picturing him as like the scrawnier version getting muscular.
Well, that's the thing. In the newer cartoons, they had him super scrawny. Like he did look different just to show like he like hulked out into that. But in the original 80s cartoon by Filmation, which is still the best, just got a bronzer. That's it. He even had the same sword Adam had. Even the sword, it's like the king never said, Adam, you have the same sword as He-Man. You're just not tan and you wear more clothes, but you have the same sword, you're the same height, the same build. Even your pet cat, which is probably the only green tiger on all of Eternia, Battle Cat happens to be another green tiger. You know, it's just crazy that no one deduced that they're the same person.
There's got to be some legit history or like educational reasoning behind that, and I would guess it has something to do with the younger demographic it was aimed at, not confusing them as to what characters are what. I would imagine that's what it is.
I love He-Man. Like my entire childhood revolved around He-Man, Thundercats, Voltron, and Transformers. That was everything. My best Christmas I ever had was waking up and discovering I had Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain under my Christmas tree. Shout out to Uncle Jim for hooking that up.
Shout out Uncle Jim. So today, guys, we're going to talk Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 3. We are recording this on Sunday, so episode 4 has not dropped. We have both caught up to episode 3, so we will talk episode 3. Mm-hmm. We were initially bandying about the idea of discussing more Stranger Things. This guy over here has one more episode to go in the first part, so we're going to wait for that. Internet,
I let you down. I was ahead of Kenny, but now I'm behind. So
yes, I have completed the first part.
Yeah, so I have to watch episode 7. I'll probably do it either tonight or tomorrow.
I did not trust myself to have a Stranger Things discussion and be able to withhold what I watched in episode 7. So it's just best to leave it out there. And some of you guys, I mean, listen, not everyone can binge. So you guys might also be working your way through season 7 or season 4, part 1. So this gives you more time to catch up and have the discussion with us. So we will do that next time, most likely. We're going to talk Kenobi, like I said, and we're going to talk about a couple bit of news items. We're going to hit up comicbook.com. Shout out.
Talking rumors and gossip.
Rumors and the hot goss. So I'm going to pull up the internet machine. And first of all, on the day we're recording, June 5th, Spider-Man is 60. It would be rather funny if Spider-Man was actually a 60-year-old man. But Spider-Man, shout out, best superhero of all time.
My favorite superhero.
If you'd like to debate that, don't, because he is. Yes. And okay, so this is the big conversation point that I found here on the internet. There's nothing to it. As of now, it's not happening. But apparently, our Lord Kevin Feige had discussions with DC Films about essentially joining DC in the same role he had at Marvel, or has currently at Marvel. That would be a thing. That would be a problem, actually, I think.
Yeah, I don't even see that as being even remotely.
It's not even. He is.
I don't see
like
that impossible.
In the Disney Corporation. Mm-hmm. I don't know the names of all of these people.
Doesn't matter.
There's the CEO.
Yep.
There's Mickey Mouse. There's Kevin Feige. That is the pecking order, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
And that man has literally proven over the course of 12 years, however long it's been, 10 years, 12 years, that he knows not just how to make a movie. I mean, of course, he makes mostly very good movies, or has his hands in mostly very good movies, but he could pick out the characters like, oh yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy, that'll make $1 billion.
Well, that's the crazy thing. I remember when Guardians of the Galaxy was coming out, and I was talking with my friend, and I was like, I am shocked of how obscure they're going with this movie, because I think I am one of the.
I never heard of them before.
Well, that's the thing. I think I was one of a handful of people who knew about the Guardians of the Galaxy and was scratching my head why they chose that to make a movie. But then it was incredible. So I think this man can just, at whatever he touches, it's the King Midas effect. Whatever he touches turns to gold. So my faith is in Feige.
And with DC, the problem is continuity. And that's what Kevin Feige could help fix. I think DC, their like independent, smaller projects are largely very good. And I don't just mean their animated stuff, but like I finally caught up and just finished Peacemaker. Peacemaker was incredible. I love that. Joker, excellent movie. The first Wonder Woman, very, very good. But then when they try to connect dots, we've got problems going on.
What was that? Was it Wonder Woman 89 or 86 or whatever?
84?
84, yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah,
it was so-so.
Oh my God. No.
It was entertaining because I always like the soundtrack they have with Wonder Woman, because like that'll get you hyped up. But the movie itself is meh.
I did not like the sequel whatsoever, and I just thought it was absolute trash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I did like the first movie though. I did enjoy the first movie.
The first one was good. The Superman movies suck. Ben Affleck, not good as Batman. the fact that their first big event.
I am openly not a Superman fan in the slightest. I respect him as being the father of the modern day superhero.
But he's boring.
He is, but he is exceptionally a boring character. When you have a character who could do pretty much everything and anything, it's a boring character. But
yeah,
I actually liked Man of Steel. I went in feeling committed to have to watch it. But when I left, I texted my buddy and I was like, it's actually pretty good. And you know how I hate Superman. So I was good with Man of Steel. Everything after that.
There's a lot of ways we could talk about this DC thing. My problem with the DC Superman, it's funny we're having this conversation and Superman's not even in the news right now, but
yeah.
I don't think anyone recently has captured the true essence of Superman with the hope and the fun and so say what you want about the CW Arrowverse. I personally, Arrow was one of my favorite shows of all time. The Flash has gotten bad. It was very good in the beginning.
Flash was good in the first 2 seasons. After that, it was an absolute dumpster fire.
But what I will say is that the guy who plays Superman in the Arrowverse, his name is Tyler Hoechlin, I think is how you pronounce his last name. Mm-hmm. That is a really good Superman. I like it a lot.
Yeah, when I first saw him, I was kind of on the fence with him, but he seems like he's pretty good. I really enjoyed The Flash, except that you want to talk about lazy writing.
It's lazy. It's lazy and it's repetitive.
Villain is Reverse Flash. Reverse Flash was awesome, and my favorite scene in season 1 is when he gets out of the wheelchair and you realize it's all a con, and it was awesome. Season 2, Speedster. Season 3, Speedster. It's like, no. He has a lot of villains in his rogues gallery.
And they eventually got to the Thinker, but then they went back to Godspeed and more Speedsters.
It makes no sense. What makes those battles interesting is not having 2 people with the same powers in different costumes. It's having 2 completely different power sets and seeing how they offset or challenge one another.
Kind of like our battles on this show.
That don't need to run fast.
It's like our battles on this show. We take 2 characters that are hopefully very different.
Except hopefully we're better than the CW.
Yeah, and hopefully they get better than Black Adam versus Mockingbird. But we digress. This was a tangent. What we were getting at here is that DC clearly has the characters to make this all work. But there never would have been a Martha climax moment under Kevin Feige's watch.
That was
the dumbest thing in cinema in history.
Let me just say, Batman v Superman was one of the few movies I left angry.
It was horrible. I have a friend who loves that movie.
If I was not with a group of people going for someone's birthday, I would have left halfway through.
It was horrible.
It was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
And I think that, honestly, that singular moment has tarnished the rest of this DCEU because everyone still remembers that comically stupid moment. They should just blow it up and start from literal scratch.
I know it's funny.
Literal scratch.
When I saw the Suicide Squad, the original one, the first time, I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty good. Retrospectively, looking back, it was not a good movie
No.
either. It's just that every other movie before it was so bad that I was like, oh, wow. If you compare something exceptionally average to a pile of poop.
Yeah.
It seems excellent. But I promise you, if you like Suicide Squad, believe me, no, you don't. No, you don't.
New Suicide Squad was okay. Better. Definitely better.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I said, individual projects are pretty good. I personally found the Harley Quinn movie to be entertaining. I'm not going to say it was a good movie, but I was entertained the entire time. Shout out Obi-Wan Kenobi was in it.
I did not see it. I didn't feel inclined to see it. But I also wanted to point out, if it's not abundantly obvious already, is that the one good thing about Batman v Superman is that we discover that both of Superman's father is Robin Hood. You have Kevin Costner, who played Robin Hood, and you have Russell Crowe, who played Robin Hood.
That's the best Green Arrow Easter egg they could have dropped.
So that alone, I mean, your boy has to grow up to be a hero when both of his fathers are Robin Hood.
Yeah, it's a fair point. The DCEU has connectivity problems. It also has piss poor casting problems. For the most part, I think Marvel's casting is always
money. DC
at least the MCU.
No.
We've discussed that Danny Rand was awful, but like in the movies, casting's almost always perfect.
Yeah.
In DC, Ben Affleck never should have been Batman. Jared Leto is not a good actor.
I can't talk about Jared Leto. I could go off on
I don't like him at all.
No, I don't either. But going back to Ben Affleck for a second, I was hypercritical of Ben Affleck when he was going to be Batman. That said, I don't think he was that bad. I think he looked a lot like the 90s Batman animated series Batman. Like if you see
Burly.
Yeah, I actually thought he was pretty good. I did like his costume. It was a shout out to, the Dark Knight, the Frank Miller. I didn't think it was that bad. That said, that run, comic book wise, was not my favorite Batman run to begin with. So for me, my favorite Batman is actually Michael Keaton Batman, followed closely by Christian Bale.
Yeah, Christian Bale's. I think it's the era thing too. Like,
oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Not that I'm not that young. Like Christian Bale's Batman came out when I was fully sentient and aware of things that were going on. But like, that's the first Batman I truly remember in movies and things like that. So that's. Those are 3 fantastic or 2.5 fantastic movies. Christian Bale's great, but also very different Batman. I also, shockingly, I have not seen Twilight Batman yet.
You really?
Yeah. I've been a very busy person.
I will tell you this.
It's on my list.
I went in with 0 expectations. I mean, 0. I absolutely loved it.
Okay, so I hope my goal, I will give you my Twilight Batman review next episode.
So good. If I had to pick a top 3 Batman actor, he's in the top 3.
Really? Even though he sparkles?
If I had to pick a top 3 Batman movie, it's in that top 3.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'll give it a shot. I wasn't like against watching it. I just it fell by the wayside.
Like listen, I have movies I feel like that, like Morbius. I
still haven't watched it. I won't watch it until I can do it for free on.
Exactly. For me, Morbius is a streaming movie.
If it was good, I would have gone to see it absolutely. But with all how shit reviews were, I'm not going to see it.
And when I was younger, I had so many Spider-Man comics I didn't know what to do with. And I remember when Carnage was a brand new character, and he was basically Marvel's version of the Joker, but like 10 times worse with the symbiote.
More murderous, yeah.
But then I saw the trailer for the movie, and I'm like, that's not my Carnage. I'm opting out. That's not my Carnage.
The Venom movies are bad. However, they are so ridiculous and so loud. It's kind of like a Michael Bay movie. It's just like a Transformers
movie.
There
are some movies that are so god-awful, they're entertaining.
But I can't stop watching. And Woody Harrelson was a really interesting Carnage.
Yeah, but he was another one. Look, I like Woody Harrelson. I really do.
Yeah.
He is not Cletus Cassidy. I'm sorry, he's not. He is a terrible miscast with him. No harm, no foul.
You know why? That's because Sony did, not Kevin Feige.
Correct. But I did enjoy the first Venom. Was it good? Nope.
No.
But I did enjoy it, and I will say that he is a better Venom than Topher Grace in Spider-Man 3.
I still don't think either is the right Venom, but yes, he's a better one.
Well, I think Feige has already solved this problem because
I'm hoping we can retcon some of the nonsense.
Well, no, it's fine because now the symbiote is in the MCU. It was left behind, so the symbiote's going to go to someone who can be a good.
It's going to go to Flash Thompson, and I don't think he's the right actor for it.
I don't think it'll go to him. I know he was the Venom in the comic book at one point. He was Agent Venom and all that other stuff. The problem is his character is not old enough to have the Venom suit yet. I think it's going to go to Scorpion because we already saw Scorpion in Spider-Man.
The post credits in Homecoming. Yeah,
I think we're going to get this. The Venom
so he would abandon Scorpion and become Venom.
Yeah, or it could be both. Maybe he might start off as Scorpion and become Venom because after Eddie Brock lost the symbiote for a while, it bonded with Gargan and he became the next Venom.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That was going to be my next question. Is there precedent for that?
Yeah, so I think that would be a good move because
we haven't seen him in a while either.
Exactly, and it would be a good way to bring him back. We don't have another Eddie Brock Venom. We have a. Don't get me wrong. If they did the Eddie Brock one correct the first time, I'm the Eddie Brock Venom fan. But since that's not the case, I think the logical thing that makes the most sense, because Flash is too young in this series now to have it. He's not in the military. He hasn't lost, hasn't suffered an injury in war. He's not at that point. I think giving it to Gargan, who's already in prison, who's already spoke to the Vulture. We know who he is, but he hasn't really been out there yet. Let it go to him, and then we'll get our Scorpion Venom.
We haven't met MCU Eddie Brock yet.
We have not.
So with this hard reset Spider-Man's story is getting now, there's the opportunity to be introduced to new people. He's going to go off to college, an entirely new setting. Maybe we meet an Eddie Brock, and maybe he is actually the type of character we'd want him to be.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily care who Venom is, character-wise. It could be Flash, it could be Eddie, it could be somebody else, as long as it is cast appropriately and the suit doesn't look stupid.
Well, this was my problem. This just goes to Sony's complete greed. You can't have Venom without Spider-Man.
The suit without the spider on it is stupid.
Not even just that. There's a reason the suit looks the way it looks. It was on Spider-Man first. That's why it has the big eyes. That's why, you can't separate the two. It makes no sense. So I thought what would be a good idea is if the symbiote goes on to whoever it's going to be, and then actually, this is my original idea. When we saw Eddie in the post credits, and I thought he was briefly for 5 seconds in the MCU, I thought there was going to be a moment where
he sees Spider-Man on TV and his suit.
Well, because the suit exists, or the suit understands the multiverse.
Yes.
So I thought there was going to be a moment where we would see Venom in the suit standing, and the big white spider would form on the chest. And I was like, that would have been cool. But then they just got him right back out, which I was like, what was the point of even having
it? Was just it was the excuse to drop the symbiote in the MCU.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
which I'm fine with.
Sony needs to back off, stop making movies about Spider-Man characters. Just stop. And then just let Feige have Venom, let him have Carnage, let him have all that, let him do that thing. And I think the way it should work is we have Holland Spider-Man for MCU, Andrew Garfield for Sony, and then we could transition from Garfield to Miles Morales for Sony.
Yeah.
And that's the way to do it.
Yeah. So the moral of this,
I got to figure it out. Let me direct these.
The moral of this story is Sony, DC, you're both doing it wrong because you don't have Lord Kevin. And Lord Kevin, please don't leave us.
And he is a subscriber to this channel. He is.
We know it. Yeah, I mean, if I was Mickey Mouse, I would open my checkbook and say, hey, Sony, here's as much money as you want. Just give me all the Spider-Man characters back.
Look, Disney owns
Same thing with Universal. I know the Hulk is not as important movie-wise at this point, but just buy all your characters back. Marvel was bankrupt. They had to sell. They're not bankrupt no more. Get them all back.
Exactly. I think Disney owns so many other things. Just be like, you don't want to give us Spider-Man? We're buying Sony. That would just the way to solve it.
Also, there's a difference too, because I understand.
I'll take a Disney PlayStation 6.
Theoretically, they're trying to protect like monopolies and this, all the bigwig stuff. The Spider-Man characters were theirs to begin with. It's their IP. There should be no issue with them attempting to buy it back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, there is greed.
Well, corporate greed. Yeah, and shit movies.
The capitalism.
Yeah, corporate greed and bad movies. So we started with talking about Kevin Feige to DC. We ended up on how bad Woody Harrelson was as Carnage, but I think you guys get it. Kevin, please don't leave us.
Organic. This is just two nerds talking shop.
Off the cuff.
Yep.
Let's move out of the news portion. Well, actually, we could use it as a bridge. Obi-Wan season 2, potentially not confirmed, rumored. We obviously don't know where the story goes yet, but that was a professional segue. But episode 3 was quite good. I will leave the brunt of the reviewing to you because you are the Star Wars person, but I will just say 2 things. Number 1, shout out to you for having half your theory correct about Obi-Wan getting his butt kicked, only hopefully to come back later on and then do the butt kicking.
Yes.
Secondly,
that has to happen.
Whoever the Star Wars people who are in charge of this show.
I think I could be wrong. I think Kathleen Kennedy is part of this too.
And Deborah something, right? Deborah Chow, maybe?
But Deborah Chow is an excellent director. She's done Mandalorian episodes. And
so whoever's been in charge of the cinematography and like the sets and everything, anything they do with Darth Vader lately, like in the last 5 years, including, or maybe Rogue One might have been without 5 years, but anything they've done in the last decade with Darth Vader has been like, can't take your eyes off the screen. Incredible. The opening scene of episode 3, just in his lair, visually,
his castle on Mustafar,
it just visually was unbelievable. And that I'm going to pay attention anyway, but from the moment I saw that, I was hooked and I didn't take my eyes off the screen.
It was basically,
I was eating sushi with chopsticks, staring at the TV. I missed my mouth a couple times.
Was it sushi cut by Obi-Wan Kenobi?
It was not. It was sushi cut by me.
It was basically a nightmarish version of Tony Stark suiting up.
Yes.
It was being pinned into his nerves, and it looked excruciating, and it was amazing. Episode 3 was fantastic. I have lots of thoughts on it. First of all, yes, I was correct. Go me.
Obi-Wan did not do so good in the first fight against Doom.
No, he did not. He got ruined.
It really wasn't even a fight. It was more of one fighting and one poorly defending himself.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a couple things. I wrote a couple things down. So it's obvious Vader doesn't want to just kill him outright. He wants to torture him.
To suffer. He wants him to literally burn like he did.
In pain, he wants to suffer, and that is great. What's also nice is how you have to keep in mind the past 10 years, Obi-Wan is essentially cut off from the Force, minus him trying to commune with Qui-Gon. Now, while he's cut himself off, Vader has immersed himself in the dark side, so he is just
very strong.
He's a monster. He's a walking, terrifying nightmare who just the complete opposite of Obi-Wan. And that line where he says, you made me this way, I think was great.
Spoilers, by the way, if we haven't already made that abundantly clear.
Sorry, spoilers. I think we're past spoilers.
Just want to make sure.
But just in case, sorry. Let's see. I think
we didn't get into the plot yet. It's fine.
No, yeah. So I think part of the thing was it wasn't a real fight per se, but I think it was a mix of he was trying to reach out to Anakin and to but I think that's why he was holding back. But I think the bigger reason he was holding back, which I think was implied both on the look on his face and his body language, is he was terrified.
Yes.
I think he was completely afraid and completely unprepared for what he encountered.
Yeah.
And having Vader walk up to him, just killing people on the way for no good reason, was epic.
Mm-hmm.
And just goes to show what kind of he's an absolute walking terrifying figure.
Yeah.
And and both to intimidate Obi-Wan, who he knew was there even if he couldn't see him right away, but the more pain he inflicts, the worse things he does, the stronger on the dark side he becomes, which is why his suit is intentionally excruciating for him. Is it his pain? It only further powers his anger, further makes him into the dark side.
No, I got the vibe. I got the vibe that obviously, yes, Obi-Wan, you're right, is terrified. Anakin wants, or Vader, he's not really Anakin anymore. Vader wants him to suffer. But I felt like their little back and forth was Vader testing to see how, quote unquote, in shape Obi-Wan is.
Yeah.
It was not toying. Clearly, he was toying with him. He could have killed him really whenever he wanted. But I think he was just trying to see like how far gone the master actually is.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think going toward fast forward a little bit to Reva at the end, mm-hmm. where little Leia is gonna runs into her. I think not that I want to get her kidnapped again, because I feel like that would it's been done before, but I think she has to get captured
by Reva directly.
By Reva.
Yeah.
in order for Obi-Wan to once again come and have to face Vader a second time. I do think that this is good because we know a few years from now when he encounters Maul on Tatooine and beats him, and that's before episode 4. He's in his full like wise Jedi. He's back. So I think my next theory, I was right on my last one. So my next theory is going to be that following this fight with Vader, I think Obi-Wan's going to be at his lowest point where, here's this person he loved as his brother. He felt that he failed him. Now he knows he left him for dead on Mustafar. And now he sees what he's become and what he's unleashed on the galaxy. I think he's going to hit his lowest point, and I think that is when Qui-Gon will reach out to him, restore his faith, kind of reinvigorate him, and we're going to see the return of the Jedi for Obi-Wan Kenobi, bringing him closer to the Jedi we know from episode 4.
And for those keeping score, we are still on Liam Neeson watch. We're through 3 episodes, 0 Liam Neeson. So
it's happening. Mark my words.
I think in episode 4, we hear Qui-Gon's voice. We don't see Liam Neeson. And I think we see Liam Neeson, maybe if that last battle between Vader and Obi-Wan is episode 7 or 6. How many episodes? 6?
There's 6 episodes.
6.
Yeah.
Maybe
we're up to 4.
The battle's a struggle. It's a back and forth. And then Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon, presents himself as a Force ghost saying, you could do this, Obi-Wan. I'm here with you. And that's the strength he needs to take it home.
Yeah. No, I think one way or the other.
Because if they got Liam Neeson physically in multiple episodes, it's a lot of money. I know Mickey Mouse has the money, but it's cheaper to only put him on camera once.
Correct. I do think that this has to happen because when you really think about it, it's been 10 years and he's been completely unsuccessful in communicating with his master. And I think it's going to come to a point of he's right on the brink of giving up. He's already not far off, if you notice. So I think this was just the straw that broke the camel's back, and Qui-Gon's going to be like, it's all right, it's going to be okay. And then we're going to see the next battle with Vader is going to be a very different battle than this battle was.
Now, but would Qui-Gon communicate with someone not strong with the Force? Wouldn't Obi-Wan really have to be tapped into it to like summon the spirit of him or the ghost of him?
I don't think so.
We don't really know how Force ghosts actually work.
No, we don't. And it seems to change. Like if you see the Force ghosts in the sequel trilogy, it's just a head scratcher because then you wonder, why not just die since you have all these amazing powers? So I don't think that's the case. I don't even really like to talk about those. But I think, if we look at Luke in The Empire Strikes Back, when he first sees Obi-Wan's spirit on Hoth when he's about to die, I think we're going to see, Luke is always referred to it as poetry. So I think we're going to see a similar situation where he's not doing good. And I think I don't know if we'll see Liam Neeson Qui-Gon, but I think we will hear his voice, and I think that'll be that. Because I think it's the relationship between that he had with his master. I think it's the relationship Obi-Wan had with Qui-Gon that will transcend his skill level and be like, yo, get up, get up.
I had 2 talking points for this episode, other than the Darth Vader castle. Still don't quite know why we had to get Hayden Christensen back, unless he's just the body actor, because it was clearly James Earl Jones's voice, and we have not seen Hayden Christensen's face yet.
I did feel like I heard like a little hybrid of like Christensen, James.
You think they mishmashed them together?
A tad. I do hear. It could be my own wishful thinking,
or it could just be the way that sound is so clear now. This is what James Earl Jones sounds like.
That's true too. I do think, even if we don't hear Hayden Christensen, I think we're also getting his, because he is in the suit. He is the one walking around, so we are getting his body language, and I do like, even if I don't hear his voice, Theory 3, we will hear his voice, because I think there's going to be a moment similar to Rebels when Ahsoka fights Vader, where maybe the face masks get damaged or something happens, and you'll see the charred Hayden Christensen's face, and maybe the voice thing will be damaged, so we will hear a brief moment of Hayden Christensen talking, or whatever. But even if I don't hear him, just knowing he's in there gives me a little nostalgia, and I'm down with that.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a Mandalorian scenario where it's like, how can we have a main character who never shows his face? I didn't care about that. He ended up showing his face, obviously, but like, this is an established character whose face we are very familiar with. And for them to bring him back, even if it's for body language, that's fine. I feel like we got to see him. Or maybe we get a ghost version of him and we
might have flashbacks coming.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
The other thing too, our conversation about the Inquisitors and how they seem incredibly stupid to make Reva stand out more. That troubled me all week. So I think I reverse engineered it in my head to make more sense.
Okay.
So this is my other theory, which it's either true or I'm just trying to explain terrible writing.
Okay.
But this is what I've come up with. So if you, like I said before, the Inquisitors in the show, the Grand Inquisitor, the fifth, all that stuff, right? They are very laid back and reserved compared to their appearances in Fallen Order and in Rebels and even in the comic books. They're much more savage. They're much more work the way Reva works. But in this one, they're criticizing her methods. I think I've worked this problem out. So if this is not the reason, if they need to explain to fans to make it the reason to shut them up, I think this works. This takes place before those things. Maybe Vader likes her methods and sees that they were much more effective because she found Obi-Wan Kenobi and they wasted so much time. They said they couldn't find it. They tried. Reva takes a different approach, which they hate. And maybe they hate her because she's more effective in her methods or whatever the case is. And we know she's, another theory I said before, she's going to die. But
well, I mean, it's like just like Rogue One. We all knew they were dying.
And I think it's going to be Vader that kills her. I'm sticking to it. But I think maybe Vader sees that her methods work. So post-mortem, I think he kind of says, listen, you're operating this way now. No, maybe she was the inspiration or the model to which Vader firmly enforced onto the other Inquisitors. Here's this whelp who did what you did in a short span of time, what you could not do in all this time. So going forward, this is the new way. Now, if that's not the reason, and it probably isn't, but if you listen to this show, people who are doing this show, if you need an excuse,
we know you're listening.
Yeah, if you need an excuse for the toxic fandom who's criticizing your writing, use that. Just give me a shout.
Yeah,
I've helped you.
We learned some stuff about Reva. Not a ton, subtle stuff. The woman who helped smuggle Leia and Obi-Wan mentioned something about younglings escaping and being captured.
Oh, and Quinlan Voss's name dropped in there too.
Yes.
Very cool Jedi. Very cool.
During that scene, actually, I think exactly is when they mentioned something about younglings escaping or this, that. Just made me think of Reva because we still don't know her backstory and how she's so force sensitive and she's very strong with the force. Yeah. And the other thing, going back to the opening scene, it opens with a conversation between Vader and Reva.
Yes. And
basically offering her the Grand Inquisitor's role, which we know that if she gets it, she won't hold it for very long.
You're either promoted or murdered. That's basically it.
But it's very clear. Maybe it's just because the Grand Inquisitor's dead, so he needs to communicate with someone, but it looks like they have a relationship in some capacity.
Yeah, but she communicated with him behind their back because they didn't know that conversation took place because they gave her a lot of crap about it when she said the conversation.
Yeah, so still we don't know how she knows he's Anakin. That might be
the only way.
I mean, I don't know.
The only way she could possibly know is if she is that youngling in the beginning and saw Anakin walk in with the 501st. That is the only way she can know. Because if there is any other way she knows, I'm calling BS. Because there's no way she can know any other way. So if that youngling isn't her, shame on you for terrible writing. Because it's supposed to be a secret.
I'm trying to think of like other potential backdoor ways she could find out. And I just don't know.
I don't know where I read somewhere as I was scrolling through a bunch of stuff. Someone said, who was associated with the show, I don't know who it was, that they're absolutely not going to break canon, which means the Grand Inquisitor is not dead. He's not. So everyone who's worried about,
or he's not gone. He could be, like we talked about how maybe mechanically he gets built up again. He's not gone. He might be dead, but he's not gone. Yeah,
I think he's probably sitting in the back to tank with a snorkel right now, or whatever's going on.
Going swimming.
He's not. He's. They're not going. They said they're not going to break canon. People were worried they were going to do. They've done little retcons before, but this would be such a startling, completely crazy retcon that it wouldn't fly. So
yeah,
we've got our reassurance. It's not going to be retcons. He's okay. Maybe he's had a rough night that night, but he's still okay. He's all right.
Yeah. So before we're going to move on to the battle in just a minute, I just want to give my closing thought on Obi-Wan at large, and then obviously you can give yours too.
Sure.
Excellent show so far.
Yep.
The one thing for me that's going to make or break this show in its totality is the way Reva and the Inquisitors are handled. Not the actress, not the character herself, how they are written and what happened. Like, if we could take the Inquisitors largely out of this show, there could be another conflict with Obi-Wan. Maybe Obi-Wan does find out Vader's alive. Boom, you're back in the same conflict. Or Anakin's alive, rather. Back in this same back and forth conflict. Throwing the Inquisitors in as like a third party definitely makes it more compelling, but it also leaves much more opportunity to screw something up. So I'm anxious and nervous to see how that storyline pans out.
Here's the other problem, is that Fallen Order does the Inquisitors so much better than this show does. So, which is great. It's a great game. But the problem is it's a game that does these characters a far bigger justice than this show is doing. So if it does get renewed for a season 2, I think they maybe have a little brief conversation with EA and be like, yo, listen, or not, was it EA? Or I forgot what company.
Is it usually EA? I thought EA was the Star Wars games. I don't know.
It is. I don't know if it's not, sorry. If it's
regardless, company who makes the games.
Another company. But whatever the case is, regardless, talk to them, maybe play the games yourself and see how they should be, because they're much better in Rebels. Now, there are some things that don't work, like in Rebels, they can turn their lightsabers into little helicopters and fly around. I think that's fine in the animated world. It would not translate good in live action, so don't do that. But outside of that silliness, they are handled much, much better in Rebels and very scary in Fallen Order. So maybe do a little more homework, and again, you really dropped the ball with the look of the Grand Inquisitor. He does not look like that. I will not accept that. That is not my Grand Inquisitor.
Well, maybe when he's revived or resuscitated or he comes back, he'll be deformed looking or something. I don't know.
I think when this could be a post, how like Lucas would always change how something looked. Like in the original release of Phantom Menace, the Yoda puppet looked horrendous, and then they fixed it and made it look. So maybe post-production after the show, we go back and we fix the Grand Inquisitor and we just forget he ever looked like this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
Kind of like what they do with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Just do me a solid. Just do me a solid. Do me some classic touch-ups and we'll be good.
They should talk to your friend Chris to do it.
He'll do it. He'll totally do it. He's great.
He'd make a lot of money from it, probably.
He would.
Yeah. All right. So that puts a bow on our Obi-Wan discussion for this week. Next week, like we said, we'll have more Obi-Wan, some Stranger Things. Maybe I'll give my Batman review or the Batman review.
Yeah, I think the homework is I have to watch episode 7 so we can talk Stranger Things in the next episode. You should definitely watch the Batman. It is excellent.
Okay, I will do it. Now it is time to spin that wheel.
Okay.
Last week, brief recap. I dominantly won, and there wasn't much of an argument, mostly because Black Adam
was Mockingbird is my mouth. You had the win.
It was unfair.
Yeah.
But such is the nature of the show. Sometimes we get lucky, sometimes we do not. So we're going to go to the wheel spins. I have randomized the list order. Here you guys can see that it is real and spinning. Which list number would you like?
It's a tough decision because I went with 2 in a row last time. and then I got Booster Gold the second time. I got Molly Hernandez the first time.
Yep.
I switched to 1, and then I got Mockingbird.
Yes, who's
like
a really cool character. You just got
a great character.
You just got a really bad matchup.
No, not against Black Adam. So yeah. I feel like I'm overdue for a really good character who won't just get annihilated in 2 seconds. So I'm going back to 2.
List 2. Here we go. Let's make sure that is perfect. Okay, here we go. The wheel is spinning. You can't tell probably if you're watching on the YouTube. By the way, if you are watching on YouTube, I love you. Like and subscribe.
That's it. I'm waiting.
Your character is Ragman.
What?
Character from Arrow. I mean, exists beyond Arrow.
What? Your wheel hates my guts.
He wears
Ragman?
Mystical rags that, like, think of them as vines that he can extend off his body and grab things. And he's in the show. He's pretty cool. I don't know the lore as much, but in the show, he's pretty cool.
I don't know the lore at all. All I know is that Ragman sounds pretty lame.
My list includes characters like Yoda and Darth Maul. So with my luck, I'll get one of them and I'll just dominate again. Here we go. It's spinning. Let's see. And my character is War Machine.
Whoa, wait a second. Why do I get stuck with these losers?
It's because you know the lore of these things, generally speaking, much better. So I get the handicaps.
Listen, the internet wants to see real good matches, not Ragman.
Listen, War Machine is the knockoff Iron Man. He's not as good. Not as good, not as cool.
He's still pretty cool. I mean, he's not Iron Man, but the guy's name is War Machine. I mean, he's pretty cool. Name. All right, well, I will do my best with Ragman. Everyone hold your criticism and judgments. I'll see. I'll work with what I got. Who knows?
We're going to go into our discussion period or study period, and it looks like we have a lot of studying to do, so we'll be back in just a second. We're back, everybody. For you, that was a 2-second break. For us, I went to the bathroom. My dog went to the bathroom. We did some researching. We're doing great. If you guys happen to hear a small screeching noise, that is my puppy being annoying. So I apologize in advance. She's quiet now. We'll see what happens. But we are going to battle War Machine and Ragman. And through our research, I think we've uncovered, you're going to laugh at hearing Ragman. Who's Ragman, you say? I hear it in my head. What is Ragman?
I said it myself, so don't feel alone.
He's got a cool set of powers, and his costume's really cool. Is he War Machine? No. Could he stand up to War Machine? Probably in a unique type of way, but we'll see. So opening argument, tell me what you've learned about Ragman and why would you like to fight for him?
Okay, so I feel like I've learned a little bit about Ragman. He seems to be cut from the same cloth of like Ghost Rider. You like that, right? That was intentional. That's cut from the same cloth of like Ghost Rider, Spawn, that kind of character. Some of his powers are actually so similar they were probably inspired, because I would wager Ragman came before Spawn. Just a guess. And
1976 was Ragman.
So easily before Spawn. So I would imagine that he was the basis of inspiration for characters like Spawn. Anyway, his name is Rory Reagan. He was of Irish descent, but they did a little bit of a retcon to give him some Jewish heritage. He was a Vietnam vet, so he has, before his little powers kicked in, he does have the skills of our great men and women who fought. We've just discovered he's good at lockpicking, which is great. He probably
those pesky locks don't stand a chance.
No, they don't. Then him, apparently his family hid $2 million for him. That he did not know about. They were too old to benefit from the $2 million. So the plan was to better his life. But then it was connected to some robbery and some criminals showed up, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, they all got electrocuted and he was grounded, so he was okay. And, their souls, their essence imparted themselves to Ragman. And, he gained some of their experiences, some of the wisdom, and I think going with, and there's a whole plethora of more I could talk about, which I'll use against you in a moment. But I think even before we give Ragman all his powers and go into that, I think he's still, and bear with me, but I think even if I did not have all these powers, I still think I could take War Machine, because with my experience being a Vietnam vet, I would wager I have access to an EMP, which would disable your suit, and you're paralyzed without your suit. So I can just beat the crap out of you.
So I don't think you get to take EMPs home from war. Never been in war before myself.
Listen, if you were walking around in a walking tank that you ripped from Tony Stark, I would wager it's a lot easier for me to get an EMP than it is for you to get a suit with a cannon on your shoulder.
Maybe. All right. So let's go this. I'll start by saying
I have lots of powers. I haven't even touched on yet, but I'm saving those for my clever retorts.
I don't think I need to introduce too much about War Machine. I think everybody at this point at least has
we all know who War Machine is.
Passing knowledge of he's a man in a tank suit who is a bulkier, slower version of Iron Man, but his suit's very expensive.
Unlike Iron Man answers to the US government.
Yes. Rhodey is a confidant of Tony Stark, although they are very different people. A Marine, skilled in arm-to-arm, hand-to-hand combat as well. So I don't think you'd just beat the piss out of me. I think I'd put up quite the fight, actually, but at least an equal fight. So yes.
I think we're both, before I get my little rag powers, we both have war experiences. We're both vets.
And we can connect and respect on that.
Exactly. So I feel like this battle is two vets who respect one another enough that this is a fight just to have a fight without trying to murder the other guy.
Correct.
This is just duking it out, good old-fashioned tussle.
Yes, and so I did some research on Ragman as well, because like you, I knew very little. I think I knew maybe a little more just because of the Arrowverse, but not a ton, because clearly they don't dive very deep into the lore there. If we're putting the suits on, I'm putting on my multi-billion-dollar suit. You're putting on grandma's underwear, all stitched up together to look like actually a pretty cool costume, but a stupid name. We got to work on the name. One of your biggest weaknesses is that you got a problem with fire.
Fire is a problem.
And I feel like I've got fire at my disposal, if not just gunfire that might catch a flame, or, any number of gadgets and gizmos that Tony has hooked the War Machine suit up with. So if I wanted to, I could light you a flame.
The War Machine suit has lots of cool things. It doesn't have nearly a fraction of the things the Iron Man suit has.
It doesn't, but this isn't a conversation between limited. War Machine and Iron Man. This is what I have.
I'm just reminding you that War Machine is,
I don't have the wrist laser. I don't have all the cool things that pop out of my back and alter my flight. But I have an RPG that launches off my shoulder, and that would definitely set you on fire. I could light you a flame.
Yes.
Okay. And with the RPG strapped on my shoulder, I don't know what type of defenses you have, but I'm pretty sure your washcloths will not help you there.
Okay, yeah, those are all valid points. But I do have my suit does award me, the usual Happy Meal of stuff: superhuman strength, speed, blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Additionally, my suit can change forms. It did a little bit of it was a cloak in ancient Egypt. It was a spear in Rome. I'm thinking they're connecting that to the Spear of Destiny, possibly being that. So it could change all sorts of forms. It can ensnare my foes.
It can.
I might be able to wrap my little thing around your gun if you try to get a little fancy with me. I do have knowledge of an acrobat. That's one of the things that got past me. So while I'm dodging my super speed with my acrobatic, that flip over you, whatever, I could ensnare your shoulder cannon, or whatever incendiary devices you got going on. There is about 100 souls in my cloak every time which I can commune with and gain some of their experience and learn from them on the fly. Always important. Maybe you're trying to shoot me. Maybe I'm gliding on air currents using my ability, which I can clearly do.
Well, I mean, I can also fly. Maybe you're saying you could avoid my fire,
glide.
I'm sure.
I can glide.
But I can also, I can just jet my way wherever I want.
Listen, I would wager that armor has locks on
it. And you'll pick it right off.
I will pick you right out of that suit.
But then jokes. So my ace in the whole argument.
Sure.
It's not really, it's a joke, but I can fuzzle you. Am I Cuba Gooding Jr. or am I Don Cheadle?
It's a tough one. Was it? No, I don't think it was. It wasn't Cuba Gooding.
It was Terrence Howard. Is it Terrence Howard or Don Cheadle? Or is it Cuba Gooding?
I think accuracy adjacent. I think you can fuzzle yourself.
I did. But either way, I have been played by multiple people in the MCU. I know his existence predates the MCU, but who are you looking at? Who are you thinking? Who am I? Who are you firing at? You might have the wrong guy. Don't go after Cuba Gooding. It wasn't him.
No, it wasn't. At least maybe not. I mean, multiverse. There could be a Cuba Gooding Jr. War Machine. We don't know.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that I can absorb souls. Although in your case, I only absorb evil souls. So I would not go after you because you are not an evil man. You're
of all the characters in the MCU, I would say as far as like tried and true to your morals, respected human being, Rhodey's up there.
Rhodey is up there. So he would not be subject to some of the powers that I would use on otherwise less than savory characters. And again, the respect factor there, being a true patriot. Now, is your War Machine the painted Iron Patriot, or which is the same suit in American colors, or are we going with black and gray War Machine?
I was honestly just picturing the War Machine that we first meet in Iron Man 2, and I don't think he changes all that much.
No, because Ragman might get confused because in outside of the MCU canon, Iron Patriot was piloted by Norman Osborn.
Yes, different.
Very different, and he is an evil man.
He is, and you would absorb the hell out of him.
I would absorb the hell out of Norman Osborn.
Yes. So this is the classic battle. We've had some interesting Science versus magic, but grounded in the fact that it's two vets who've served their country, two people who both have skills outside of their respective costumes / billion-dollar spacesuits. I think if it's a mano, no suits, I think we're at an even 50-50 draw.
Yes.
Like, sure, you've got some acrobatic skills. I might be a little bit better of a marksman.
I can walk, you can't.
Well, he's working on that.
We're working on it.
That reminded me.
You do have those nifty little leg braces that allow you to walk.
That reminded me of the scene where you see him struggling to walk, and rest in peace, Stan Lee goes, "Does Tony Stank live here?" And he goes, "We're going to keep calling him that, right? Please let us keep calling you that." Tony Stank's a funny name. But yeah, so I think for the most part, we're pretty even on the ground. We put the suits on. It's what money can buy versus rags.
But again, I may be weak against fire, but that suit would be incredibly weak against an EMP, which is a pretty common thing, not a terribly difficult thing to get. But I mean, not even just for me. I would imagine you could easily enough get an EMP.
Well, if you're going to be allowed to take home an EMP, I'm sure as a Marine I have access to a flamethrower, and that'll be even more fire.
That's what I'm saying.
So
the other thing too is that take you out of the suit and you're a paraplegic. Nothing wrong with that, but that might hinder your ability to fight. I'm still magic.
But would you beat up a person who has physical disabilities?
No, because you're a good man. You're not an evil man.
Yeah. So that means I inherently win by not losing.
Adjacent.
Adjacent. If we ever get to the point of having merch, everybody, our first shirt is just going to say accuracy adjacent. And we'll figure out what the design is, but that's what it's going to say.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, like I said, he has, because of his father and his family friends that died, that kind of absorbed into him. He does have their skill set, so he's got the heavy lifter, the acrobat and all that stuff. So he does have regular, not just superpowers, but just regular grounded stuff to help him. But he still has, the other stuff, the healing, and he could, the suit, not that it helps me in this situation, but he could sense magic, the presence of magic and demonic forces and all that stuff.
But my big question for you, so when we're both in our suits, let's say you ensnare me.
Yeah.
That is a hindrance. That is annoying.
Yeah, and I would be definitely ensnaring you.
But
I don't want to be on fire. Or shot
almost, I'd say about 80 to 90% of the time, unless I'm falling from the sky and
which does happen.
Hurting myself.
See, you might be subject to mechanical failure.
Well, I was what I'm getting, like the suit mostly protects the wearer. Mostly. I don't think your suit is indestructible. And if I fire all my guns and ammo at you and they hit you, I don't think you're going to be okay.
I don't think it's, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's indestructible. I think it's incredibly powerful with magic. It does.
But is it defending just an array of bullets at you?
Well, I'm going to say yes, because
you have to.
I have to. But outside of that, I do have the speed and the accurate. I don't think every single bullet you're going to shoot at me is going to meet its mark.
I only got to hit you one on the right spot. I mean, I don't need to hit you with 100.
I have a healing factor with the suit too, so one bullet won't take me out. So I think I would ensnare. Your suit is heavy.
It is.
So I would try and trip you up. Ensnare your legs. I would definitely be ensnaring that cannon. And if that cannon was held on your shoulder by a pin, possibly a lock, I would definitely
consider it picked.
I consider it picked.
But now, so if you've ensnared me though, I'm just going to keep going back to this. And I know it seems lazy, like I don't know what else to talk about, but it's true. If you're ensnaring me, all I have to do is use one of my boot rockets or hand rockets, which propel me and give off exhaust and fire, and I'll just burn your ensnare.
That is
even if it doesn't win me the fight, it frees me from whatever I'm stuck with.
Or there is that, or I can, besides ensnaring your cannon and some of that and trying to trip you up, I would definitely be very wise to try and pull your helmet off, so I could have access to that Brody face. And will I be looking at Terrence Howard or Don Cheadle? I don't know, but I'm going to be looking at you, whoever that may be.
Interesting. Now, is looking at me in the eyes going to help you?
No, but punching you in the face.
Yeah, that's fair. See, I think this battle, it's a back and forth, punching, kicking, firing, guns, towels, everything. I think at the end of the day, they just look at each other and they say, we're both vets who serve this country. Let's lay down our guns and go get a scotch.
I think at the end, it would be a handshake and a trip to the bar and a salute to the flag. That's what it would be.
But then who would win the drinking contest?
That's a good question. Regeneration over here, so I don't know how easy I can get bombed.
You do have regeneration, but I would never have to worry about getting home because the suit could just take me there.
And I would wager you probably have some plumbing to take care of any accidents that might happen, which you wouldn't feel because you're a paraplegic.
I would bet Tony has pissed himself in the suit many a time.
I'm sure there's some kind of like chemicals in there that take care of whatever happens. I don't know. I think this is one of those things where it wouldn't be a clear-cut victory for either character because they both have they are so different in their power sets, but they can just offset each other. For every one move, there's a counter for every, so I don't think, and they both are men of more, morality and character. So even there are some moves and things they have access to that they would never use on one another based on that morality.
Yeah.
I would not be trying to actively devour your soul.
No.
Because you're a good man. That would break my character.
It's a very interesting battle too, because like Ragman, for as much as we can make fun of his very stupid name that I can't believe we couldn't come up with something better than Ragman, has a ton of powers. Or the suit has a ton of capabilities. War Machine's got guns and he can fly. Like that's essentially all he's got.
Yeah, you're a little limited on there. See, when you have something like, and this is a bit meta, but when you have a character like Ragman who's mystic and has all that stuff, he has whatever powers the writer wants to give his suit at that moment. So I guarantee if we had this match 10 years from now, I would probably be able to list 15 other things that magically happened in that time span. Well, you would probably still have a gun and rockets and fire and whatever.
Yeah, like Ragman can like DoorDash items in his brain, and then when he gets tired midway through the battle, he can eat.
Because then it's and plus we don't know all the 100 souls within Ragman. He has 100 souls. There's a path for each one.
Powers he's never even tapped into.
Exactly. So one of those souls could be a sorcerer, could be a demon, could be, and if you're tapping into their intelligence, you're probably tapping into their wisdom and thus their spell casting, their whatever.
In the comments down below, obviously let us know your opinions on this battle, but let's have a naming competition. Let's rename Ragman. Give me your thoughts. I came up with Soul Master, which might already be a character, probably.
I would go with Patch Master. I think Patch Master is a cool name,
or something just like Patchwork. Just a word, Patchwork. It's a cool name. He might be a patchwork individual on the inside. He's building himself.
That is true, or even Composite. Composite would be pretty good.
Yeah, or like just Ragman. Like, isn't it more of a cloak?
I think it's whatever it needs to be. It's it's a cloak, it's a spear. It's implied based on whatever research that I've skimmed. It's a symbiote with a different name that is not aware. It's like Spawn's outfit. It's although that has some awareness, but that would be another interesting case. That would be a better fight, I think. A more interesting fight would be Ragman versus Spawn,
because it's similar power sets but different moralities.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Spawn is really it's like someone dropped Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, and Venom in a centrifuge, and then just pissed out Spawn. This guy is clearly predates Spawn, and some of his powers are very similar with the stuff he can do with his cape, with the teleportation and the entrapment and the ensnarement, and that's all very Spawny kind of stuff. But based on the dates, it was very Ragman kind of stuff. So I think Spawn has better PR.
That must be it. So in closing today, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, enjoyed this battle, enjoyed our reviews, opinions of Kenobi, and the tangent we went on with Kevin Feige. Words of wisdom. Do we have any? I've prepared none.
Okay, words of wisdom.
Last week, you so boldly told everybody that if someone said something, they'd like and subscribe or something.
Yeah, Thomas Edison. It was a Thomas Edison quote. He was very ahead of his time, so he knew all about liking and subscribing way before it was even a thing. This time, and again, I'm going to do a little bit verbatim. I know I said that last time, so I could sneak in a like and subscribe.
Yes.
But an optimistic person is someone who hunts whales in a rowboat and brings, I'm screwing that up. It's terrible. That is not how it goes.
Well, we'll keep rolling with it. Adjacent.
But he brings a fishing pole and tartar sauce. Don't know what to do with that exactly. And I am butchering the quote. It's really, the metaphor there is the power of optimism. It's a good thing, but I will actually use a better quote that I do remember better. So if we, for the person watching this, if you can, like down below to humor me, and if you want to see how I butcher the next quote, that like and subscribe. But one of my favorite movies is Tombstone. It's an amazing movie, and Val Kilmer is incredible in that movie. His quote at the end of the movie is, "There's no such thing as a normal life. There's just life."
Boom. With tartar sauce. With tartar sauce.
With tartar sauce.
That's it. So thank you guys for listening. Hurry up and go to your local grocery store. Get that tartar sauce before the whales get it. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Adjacent.